Hello everyone. This is Test Market Process and World Economy Test 2 Spring 2012. This is a review of all the questions except for question number 4, which was a fill in the missing data question, and it shows up in a separate video. Okay, so we have in the first question, they're worth 5 points each. Does a firm's accounting statement reflect any opportunity costs that the firm may have? Well, no, it doesn't. Opportunity costs are subjective. They are the lost income that you could have earned by doing something other than what you did. So accounting costs only measure the explicit cost that a firm has. Sure, they can be really complicated, but they're explicit. They're not implicit or subjective. Alright, the second one says, should current business decisions be based on accounting cost? Well, no, obviously you want to include accounting cost, but if you don't also include opportunity cost, you can't decide whether a business decision is a good idea or not. For example, suppose your plant could produce 2 different products, and let's say the first product could generate a profit for you of, I don't know, let's say $5,000, and if you just used accounting costs, it might look like a good idea, but the second product maybe could produce for you $50,000 profit, and you can't do both. You must do one or the other. So to make a proper business decision, you need to include all costs, including the opportunity cost. The third one says, students often confuse diminishing returns that are related to the variable factors of production with diseconomies of scale. Explain the difference. And in fact, I give you a hint about what the difference is in the question. Diminishing returns refers to what happens to output when you increase one of the variables and hold all the others constant. The classic example is if you have a factory and you continue to add workers, more and more and more workers, output will increase, but at a diminishing rate called diminishing returns. And even though it's kind of weird to think about it, you could at least theoretically add so many workers their output would actually fall as the workers begin to get in each other's way. Diseconomies and economies of scale refer to increasing all of the inputs and looking to see what happens to output. The simplest example would be if you doubled everything. You doubled the number of workers, the number of machines, the amount of floor space, the amount of raw materials, the number of managers. If you doubled everything, output might exactly double, but it might more than double if you have economies of scale, or it might less than double if you have diseconomies of scale. So the difference is, in diminishing returns, only one of the variables is increasing, the others are being held constant. In economies of scale or diseconomies of scale, all of the variables are being changed. Okay, and part D is, what are implicit costs? Well, implicit costs are just another way of talking about opportunity cost. Then in Roman numeral 2, in a price taker market, if a business operator produces efficiently, the operator will be able to make at least normal profit. Turns out that's false, because in a price taker market, that is under pure competition, the price goes up and down with supply and demand. So you can imagine a situation where a firm is making normal profit and is operating very efficiently, but then some bad news comes and causes the demand curve for the product to fall. Prices would fall by no fault of theirs, and they would then take a loss. So in the short run, firms in a purely competitive market or a price taker market can make economic profits or normal profits, or they can take a loss. In the long run, of course, they can make only normal profits, because in the long run, firms will come in if there's economic profits and drive the profits down to zero, or firms will exit if there's a loss and drive the prices up. And then in part B, when the firms in the industry are just able to cover their cost of production, economic profit is zero. Therefore, if the demand curve falls, causing prices to go down even a little, but all of the firms in the business will be driven out of business. True or false? Okay, so that's false. Oftentimes you see that in the media or in trade associations talking about how they need protection. But the truth is, when prices fall and firms begin to lose money, they don't all get driven out of business, at least not all at once. First, a few will go out of business that can easily go out or have some alternative, and others will hang on hoping that things will get better. And as the firms go out of business, things do get better for those that are remaining until finally normal profit is restored, or until finally all the firms exit. Will firms in a price taker market be able to earn profit in the long run? Why or not? Why or why not? Okay, so this word profit might mean economic profit or normal profit. So in the long run, firms make only normal profit. They make zero economic profit. So as long as you told me that in the long run they make only normal profit, it didn't really matter if you said yes or no there. Alright, in D, price searchers can set the price of their products. Does this mean that they will charge the highest price possible? If so, explain why. No, they won't. You can imagine if you were a monopoly, you wouldn't charge the highest price possible, because by doing that, even though you make a lot of money on each unit sold, you would hardly sell any units at all, and so your profits would be very small. So the dilemma for firms like this is to try to charge a high price, but not too high. They're trying to find the balance between sales and the markup of the price, and the place that happens is always where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Then in Roman numeral 3, this was a math question. So let me see if I can make this work. In the first one, you're given that it's a competitive firm, a price taker, and you're given this information. Let's see if I can get this thing to come up underneath it. Yeah, I hope you can see that. Yeah. So let's see. The selling price is $8, and total cost is $19,375, and you're given a total revenue number. So how do you figure these things out? Well, the selling price is $8, so that's up here somewhere, $8. And then you know the firm's output is going to be where marginal cost hits the price. So this is the price here. Average total cost is this. That's average total cost. And total revenue is $20,000. So we can figure average total cost as okay, look at this. Average total cost is equal to, oh shoot, you can't see that. Maybe up here. Average total cost is equal to total cost divided by output. So average total cost in this case is $19,375 divided by output. Oh shoot, I don't have output. Oh yeah, I do, because I know what total revenue is. So total revenue is P times Q, and I know that total revenue was $20,000. Hope you can see all this, and the selling price was given to be $8. So I can work back and find out what Q was, because it'll be just 20,000 divided by 8. So Q is 2,500. And now, since I know what Q is, I can find average total cost, because it's 19,375 divided by 2,500. And that gives me an average total cost of $7.75. And so my profit per unit is 25 cents, and I think that's all you were asked, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, so now let's see what the other one says. In the second one, it's the same problem, except now you're given a in the second problem, the data is the same, except now you're given that it's a monopoly, so that'd be the second one that you see there. Again, the price is $8. So that would be here where marginal cost intersects marginal revenue. So that's given $8. And then again, you know that output is $2,500 for the same reason as before, because you're given that total revenue was $20,000 and total revenue is P times Q, and since P was given to be 8, Q then must have been 2,500, and then you knew this point over here is average total cost, and it's $7.75, and I know that the same way as before, because average total cost is equal to total cost divided by Q, and total cost was given to be $19,375, and we found Q. Okay, so I think that takes care of that problem. Then Roman numeral 4 is fill in the missing data. It exists out there in cyberspace in a different file. And Roman numeral 5 is a monopolistically competitive firm. See if I can get that to come up. So Roman numeral 5. Okay, so here's how you do this. You're given the total cost, you see it there, 2q squared minus 10q plus 500, and you're asked to calculate average total cost, and you just remember the equation that average total cost equals total cost divided by Q. So dividing through by Q, looking at the total cost equation now, it'll be 2Q minus 10, because you're dividing through by Q, Q's cancel, plus 500 divided by Q. That'd be your average total cost equation. Then it asks for total fixed cost. Okay, again, looking at the total cost equation, we know that total fixed costs are equal to whatever total cost is when output is 0. Remember, the fixed costs are those costs that exist no matter what the output is. So if you set output to 0, that Q becomes 0, that Q becomes 0, and so total cost is left to be 500, so that must be your total fixed cost. Q star, the profit maximizing output, is simply where marginal revenue intersects marginal cost. So you set those two equations equal to each other, and you can solve for Q star. It turns out to be 20. Here's where I did the work, right here. Now, P star. Well, P star, the profit maximizing price, is simply the price that occurs when you're at Q star. So you just put the 20 in there. This is your demand equation. Put the 20 in there and find out what P is. P turns out to be 270. Alright, so the profit per unit, there's a couple of ways to find it. Probably the most direct way is to calculate the total cost, since we know that Q is 20, and then to calculate the total revenue, since we know that P is 270 and Q star is 20, so total revenue is these two numbers multiplied together. So then we could find the total profit. The total profit would just be total revenue minus total cost. I don't have that number in front of me, but you'd get some number. Then dividing through by Q would give you the profit per unit. Maybe I can't get it for you. So total revenue is just 20 times 270. 5,400 is what I get for total revenue. And total cost is just 20 squared times 2 minus 10 times 20 is 200 plus 500. So I get my total cost as 1,100, and then you should be able to take it from there. Alright, was there another one? Oh yeah. So this is another sort of discussion thing to find the difference between fixed and variable cost. Fixed costs are those costs that never change. Variable costs, of course, change with output. Fixed costs are unimportant when determining the profit maximizing level of output, because that output level comes from where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. You can see it in those graphs. And finally, why does the average total cost curve and the average variable cost curve crowd together as they move out to the right? Well, that's because as you move to the right, average fixed cost is getting smaller and smaller, and the difference between those two curves is average fixed cost. You can see it in a construction. Okay, hope you found that helpful. Good luck.